Welcome back to the Oracle BRM channel, and this is another video about pipeline. So when we speak about the BRM is divided into two parts basically. One is infranet, and another one is pipeline. So people, most of them, will have experience either in infranet or pipeline. In the previous videos, we spoke about purely about infranet. So infranet is the place where we have connection manager, data manager, database, and then account creation, account management, subscription management, pricing, invoicing, billing, and so on. So there is another part within BRM that is called pipeline. So pipeline is treated as a uh, separate part of BRM because uh, this pipeline concept initially designed and developed by a company named SOL 42, also called Sol 42. Sol 42 is the company who developed the pipeline. Uh, and later on, this SOL 42 has been acquired by Portal company, and then Portal started using pipeline for processing usage. Uh, so, so we can say pipeline is a kind of DSL. So in the first video, in the introduction video of Oracle BRM, I explained about all of these about pipeline and Sol 42 and all those things. You can watch it again. Um, and what is a domain specific language is it solves it solves a specific purpose of problem. It doesn't We don't need to use any programming language as such, but it will have DSL will have its own configurations, its own programming kind of, and its own set of things that we need to follow. So um, so that is about DSL. And then when we come to the pipeline, so pipeline is divided into so many parts. We can create as many pipelines as we need. Um, so so what is a pipeline? Why we need it in BRM? Where we use it? It's basically when we consider the concept of usage processing. So in telecommunications, customers make usage in terms of phone calls, SMS, MMS, data, and so many other stuff like video on demand and so on. So all these will be captured at the towers as a CDR files. So CDR is nothing but call detail records. So in telecommunications, there will be millions and millions of CDR files and records that will be captured on a daily basis. So that's why the concept of pipeline is so important. It is super important to process all the heavy usage on time. So that's why pipeline does so many things. And The first one is batch reading pipeline. So batch reading pipeline is the one that is responsible to process customers' usage records. Those are called CDRs, call detail records. It can be voice calls, SMS, data, MMS, or any other service. It can be internet service providers related information, or it can be any other usage that the business or the organization is offering to their customers. So that is called the batch reading pipeline. So So batch reading pipeline, what it does is when we start it, it will read all the information from the database of BRM, and it will also consider all the configurations that it has, and it will keep in the container. So container is an in memory setup that it's a temporary in memory uh, in memory framework in which all the information will be stored temporarily. So as long as the pipeline process is up and running, this data will be maintained in the cache. Once the process is down, then the automatically the memory, the cache will be cleared. So that's about batch reading pipeline, and then the real-time pipeline. So real-time pipeline is responsible for real-time pipeline is responsible for any real-time transactions. For example, if any discounting need to be applied on top of an MRC, monthly recurring charge, then real-time pipeline will process that discount based on the discounting configuration and so on. So real-time pipeline should always be there, but batch reading pipeline can be replaced by OCOMC and ECE. So OCOMC is offline mediation controller and ECE is elastic charging engine. So these are new concepts developed by Oracle, and then it is a replacement for batch reading pipeline. So batch reading pipeline is still available in the latest versions of BRM, which is BRM 12 and BRM 15. ECE and OCOMC can also be used as a replacement for batch reading pipeline when the business is having too many usage transactions. If batch reading pipeline is not able to process those many billions of CDR files, CDR records, then OCOMC and ECE is another option. So batch reading pipeline still works. It can process millions and millions of CDRs, only if there are so many records that need to be processed for both prepaid and postpaid. Then the new concepts like OCOMC and ECE will come into the picture. We will discuss about OCOMC and ECE in another video. Uh, for now, we will focus on the pipeline. So we discussed about the batch reading pipeline and real-time pipeline. We can create another other pipelines also for the re-rating concept in case if the rating is not correct due to some configurations which are not done correctly, then we do the re-rating, though it is not being used heavily by the clients, but there is a concept called re-rating. And roaming, uh, the roaming will have tab format, kind of tab format CDRs and wrap format CDRs, and so on. And there will be cyber roaming usage as well. So roaming is when the customer is not within the zone of telecommunication, not within the zone of the telecom client, and the customer is using a partner's network. Then the roaming comes into the picture. So customer is not really using the telco client's network, but they are using somebody else network. So this telco client has to settle that roaming usage charges for the other telco client. So that's about the roaming. There will be inbound roaming, outbound roaming. Those kind of roaming concepts are there, and similarly within roaming there will be interconnect. So interconnect comes when the telco client has to settle for their partner because this telco client's customers use the network of the other telco business. So within roaming there will be interconnect usages as well. And so if the usage goes into suspense, so if the usage goes into the usage will be suspended in so many scenarios where, let's say, the account doesn't exist in BRM. uh, so the CDR contains an MSISD and that doesn't exist in BRM, then that usage will be moved to the suspended state. Then recycling, there is another pipeline called recycling pipeline as well. So we can create as many number of pipelines as we need, but these are the common scenarios where most of the telcos will have these uh, these pipelines. And so we already talked about a container. So container is basically a temporary in-memory setup that pipeline will use to process the CDR files. For example, let's say we are processing the SMS usage of a customer. So customer is having 100 SMS free for that month, and then if there are any more SMS records comes, then those need to be charged. So pipeline, the batch reading pipeline, which is responsible to process that usage, it will not go back to the database and see, okay, how many usage this customer made in this month. It won't do that, because when we bring up the pipeline, as we discussed earlier, it will fetch all the information from the BRM database to its in memory. So it will keep everything in the memory. It will know, it will fetch from the service tables, purchase product tables, including audit tables. Audit tables will contain the historical information. Say, for example, customer initially had 100 free SMS per month, but later on, customer on a specific day, customer upgraded the plan, saying that 1,000 SMS are free in a month from particular date onwards. So let's say 100 SMS are over, but now the customer is upgraded. So the pipeline will have both the information, um, like the old package information as well as the new package information. So that's why all the all the database tables, including service tables, purchase products, balance groups, all those data will be fetched from BRM database into its in memory, which is cache memory, and then it will, based on the in memory or the cache memory, it will do the processing. Um, it will identify whether the particular usage record need to be charged or it is free of cost. So that kind of thing. Um, so coming to the architecture. So what is the architecture of the pipeline, especially the batch reading pipeline? We have the documentation. So the official documentation of pipeline itself is 2000 pages, as you can see, 2000. So it's a big concept for sure. There is so much to learn. It is not a simple thing that we can learn in a day and then start developing it from tomorrow. So be prepared mentally that it is going to take some time to understand and then learn and then implement. So if you see the diagram here in from this official documentation, what we are seeing here, the CDR files, earlier we spoke what is a CDR file. CDR is nothing but call detail records files. So it will have the usage information of the customers. Uh, in the telco scenario, it will be voice calls, SMS, and so on, data and so on. So there will be input modules. So we can say this pipeline manager, entire pipeline manager is a container. So in this container, there will be input modules, function modules, data, and then output modules. So input module will be responsible to see whether the CDRs records are in the format that we are expecting. And then function modules will do the processing based on there are so many functions we will discuss. Pipeline functions are huge, and then the data module is responsible to fetch the data from BRM database and then keep in the pipelines in memory container. Output module is responsible to generate the output in the format that is needed for for the external application. So the pipeline concept is generic. It can be used anywhere. It is not only in BRM. It can be used anywhere. So it will accept an input file. There will be functions which can be modified. There will be data modules, and then there will be an output. So that output will be created in the format of REL, that is in the format that is needed for rated event loader. REL is nothing but rated event loader. This is also called batch controller. This is another application within BRM. So this application is responsible to load that output into BRM database. So once that uh, once that outputs generated from the pipeline manager gets loaded in BRM, then the charges will be applied. Then the charges will be applied to the customer. Let's say the pipeline manager provided the output, but let's say we didn't load it into BRM database, then the customer will not be charged. So we need to be aware about that particular scenario. So, and then let's go back to our presentation. So here, that is the overall architecture, and then there will be a semaphores. So semaphores are nothing but it will alter the runtime behavior of the pipeline. So runtime behavior in the sense, let's say we want to stop the pipeline processing, then we can uh, process a semaphore, pass a semaphores to stop it. Or if we want to refresh the memory, or if we want to fetch something from the cache memory, then also we can use the semaphore. So there are so many use cases where we will use semaphores. And so since we spoke about the DSL, so the DSL will have certain configurations. In case of pipeline, it will be there will be grammar files which are responsible for the input modules. Then there will be iScripts and iRules, which will be part of the function plugins, function module. And finally, there is a DM IFW sync. DM is nothing but data manager. So if you watch the BRM videos, then you know what is a data manager. Then why we need a DM IFW underscore sync data manager is because, so let's assume the customer's plan got loaded into the in memory of pipeline. Let's say that plan is uh, SMS will cost 1 cent kind of thing, and then customer changed the plan, and pipeline is already fetched that information, and it is already up and running, it is processing. Then customer changed the plan. The customer changed to a plan where the SMS will be charged at uh, charged free for let's say 1,000 SMS are free for that particular month. Then how that in memory or the cache memory of the pipeline will get updated, because it already fetched when we bring up the pipeline process, it already read all the data from the BRM database, and then it already created its in memory. The container is ready. It's already processing. Now customer's information got changed in the database because infranet opcodes and the setup updated the cache memory, updated the BRM database. But how that information from BRM database will be synced to the pipeline? So there will be a data manager. There is a data manager called DM underscore IFW underscore sync. As you can see, uh, DM is data manager, IFW is pipeline, and then sync means it will do the sync. There will be a queue as well. So the information that need to be processed to the pipeline will be placed in a queue, and then DM IFW sync is responsible to process that queue. That means constantly the cache memory of the pipeline will get updated. So as and when we change a plan of a customer, that new plan details and everything will be synced back to the customer, synced back to the in memory cache memory of the pipeline. So this is the overall concept. This is the overall use case of pipeline. And then when we go to the VM, and let's see, um, CDIFW home is the place where we will have pipeline related information, and then the command that we need to use to bring up the pipeline is this NOHUP, that means no hang up. That is a Unix command, and then bin ifw -r wireless dot registry. So every pipeline will have its own registry. Based on the name of the registry, we will come to know what pipeline it is. So whether this is a batch reading pipeline or a real-time pipeline or a re-reading pipeline, how we will know is basically we need to go through the contents of this registry file. Then when we see the contents of the registry file, then we will be able to see, based on the grammar files, iScripts and all those things mentioned in that registry, we will be able to say whether what is the purpose of that particular pipeline. So the registry file is the key for any kind of pipeline. So we can create as many pipelines as we need, as I mentioned earlier. But all that configurations, what should be the input modules, function modules, data modules, output modules, everything should be configured in that registry, should be mentioned in the registry. So it will act accordingly. So pipelines job is, it will follow the commands that we mention within these modules, input function and everything. For real time, there will be a different registry file. As you can see, there is a wireless real time dot rich. That registry is responsible for real time processing real time events, like discounting, applying discounts. Especially applying discounts is through wireless real time. So whether you have OCOMC and EC or not, real time pipeline should be there. So even if we replace batch reading pipeline with OCOMC and EC concept, still real-time pipeline should be there. Similarly, there is a re-rating pipeline, roaming pipeline, and then and so many other pipelines can also be there. So it all depends on the requirement. So similarly, to recycle the suspense CDRs, there will be a batch suspense and so on. So in the upcoming and next videos about the pipeline, we will discuss about the registry, the contents of the registry, grammar files, and then function plugins. I mean the function module, iScripts, iRules, and then the CDR format and so on. Um Thanks for watching the video, and post if you have any doubts. Thanks.